Get out of the house. The cake was store-bought vanilla with plastic roses, the kind Mom always claimed to hate, but somehow ended up buying anyway. I was standing in her kitchen watching my Aunt Delilah arrange wilted carnations in a mason jar when my phone buzzed. Luna calling. Strange. My 12-year-old daughter had been upstairs with her cousins for the last hour, supposedly playing some elaborate hide-and-seek game that involved way too much giggling and thumping around. Why would she call instead of just coming downstairs? Hey, what's? Get out of the house. Her voice was barely a whisper, urgent and shaking. I froze, the plastic fork I'd been using to taste Mom's famous potato salad halfway to my mouth. What? Mom, please. Get out of the house. Right now. The party chatter around me, Dad's booming laugh, Delilah's commentary on the neighbor's new fence, my brother Sterling's kids shrieking about something, suddenly felt muffled, like I was underwater. Luna, what's wrong? Where are you? Upstairs bathroom. They don't know I can hear them. Mom, you have to leave. Please. My hands started trembling. Who? What did you hear? Just go. I'll meet you at the car. The line went dead. I looked around the kitchen. Everything appeared exactly as it had 5 minutes ago. Mom was at the stove, stirring her green bean casserole with the wooden spoon she'd had since I was Luna's age. Sterling was leaning against the counter, beer in hand, talking about his new promotion. Delilah was still fussing with those pathetic flowers. Normal. Everything looked absolutely normal. But Luna's voice, I'd never heard her sound like that. Not even during the worst of my divorce 2 years ago, when the lawyers were circling like vultures and her father was threatening to take her away from me. I set down my plate. I'm going to check on Luna. She's fine, Mom said without turning around. Kids are just being kids. Right, but sit down, Marlo. You're always fussing over that girl. She's tougher than you think. Something in her tone made me pause. There was an edge there, sharp and dismissive, that I hadn't noticed before. Or maybe I had noticed, but I'd been ignoring it for so long it had become background noise. I walked toward the stairs, but Sterling stepped into my path. Where you going, sis? Party's down here. Just checking on Luna. I'm sure she's fine. Come on, have another drink. When's the last time we all got together like this? His smile didn't reach his eyes, and now that I was really looking at him, I realized he'd been nursing that same beer for over an hour. Sterling never nursed drinks. He was a 3 beers deep before dessert kind of guy. Move, Sterling. Marlo. Mom's voice, sharp as a blade. Sit down. Now. I turned to look at her. She was facing me now, wooden spoon still in her hand, and her expression was wrong. Cold. Calculating. Like she was solving a math problem, and I was the remainder that didn't quite fit. What's going on? Nothing's going on. You're being paranoid, just like always. Just like always. The phrase hit me like a slap. When had I ever been paranoid? I was the one who kept this family together. I was the one who called every week, who remembered birthdays, who brought casseroles when someone was sick. I was the reliable one, the steady one. So, why were they all looking at me like I was the problem? My phone buzzed. Text from Luna, Mom, please. That was it. I didn't care how crazy I looked. I pushed past Sterling and headed for the front door. Behind me, I heard Mom's voice. Where do you think you're going? To check on my daughter. She's not going anywhere, Sterling said, and there was something in his voice that made my blood freeze. I spun around. Excuse me, we need to talk, Marlo. All of us. About Luna's situation. What situation? Delilah cleared her throat. Honey, we're all worried about you. About how you've been handling things since the divorce. Handling things? I've been handling things fine. Have you? Mom set down her spoon and crossed her arms. Because from where we're sitting, it looks like you're falling apart. And Luna's the one paying the price. The room started spinning. What are you talking about? The missed school events, Sterling said, ticking off on his fingers. The time she's called us crying because you were too busy to pick her up. The way you've been drinking. I don't drink. And the way you've been dating that mechanic with the tattoos. What kind of example is that for a young girl? Marcus. They were talking about Marcus, who was kind and funny and made Luna laugh, who fixed my car for free and never once tried to replace her father. Marcus, who I'd been afraid to introduce to them because I knew they'd find something wrong with him. You've been watching me. We've been caring about you, Mom said, and about our granddaughter, which is why we've made some calls. The floor dropped out from under me. What calls? Child services, Delilah said gently, like she was delivering good news. They're very understanding. They know how hard it is for single mothers, especially ones who are struggling. I'm not struggling. Marlo. Mom's voice was soft now, almost pitying. You lost your job 3 months ago. I found another one. Part-time retail isn't a career, honey. And that apartment you're renting, we drove by it last week. It's not suitable for a child. I couldn't breathe. You drove by my apartment? Luna needs stability, Sterling said. She needs family. Real family. I'm her family. You're her mother, Mom corrected. But maybe that's not enough anymore. The words hit me like physical blows. I stumbled backward, my hip hitting the kitchen island. We've talked to Richard, Delilah continued. Luna's father. He's doing much better now. Steady job, nice house in the suburbs, engaged to that lovely teacher. He can provide for Luna in ways that well. No. The word came out as a whisper. No, you can't do this. We can and we are, Mom said. The hearing is next week. Richard's lawyer thinks it'll be pretty straightforward, especially with our testimony about your current state. My current state? The drinking, the unstable employment, the inappropriate men you bring around. I brought Marcus to one family dinner. And the way you've been neglecting Luna's needs. Sterling saw you last month, screaming at her in the grocery store parking lot. I stared at my brother. I wasn't screaming at her. I was trying to get her seatbelt unstuck, and I was frustrated. You saw me for 30 seconds. He shrugged. Looked like screaming to me. They'd been building a case against me. My own family, planning and plotting and watching, waiting for moments to twist into evidence of my inadequacy. Where is Luna? Upstairs, like we said. I want to see her. In a minute, Mom said. First, we want you to understand that this is for the best. Richard can give her opportunities that you can't. Private school, college fund, a stable home with 2 parents. I'm stable. Are you? Delilah tilted her head. Because you seem pretty upset right now. They were gaslighting me. My own family was gaslighting me, making me question my own sanity, my own reality. How long had this been going on? How many conversations had I missed? How many looks had I misinterpreted? My phone buzzed again. Luna, back door. Now, I looked toward the kitchen's back door, which led to the small patio where Dad used to grill burgers every 4th of July. Where Luna and I had planted tomatoes last spring, before everything went to hell. I need some air, I said. Marlo, Mom started. I need some air, I repeated, louder this time. I walked to the back door, opened it, and stepped onto the patio. The evening air was cool against my flushed skin, and I could smell honeysuckle from the neighbor's yard. Luna was there, crouched behind Dad's old Weber grill, clutching her backpack. Mom. She ran to me, and I caught her in my arms, feeling how small she was, how fragile. What did you hear? Everything. Her voice was muffled against my shoulder. I was in the upstairs bathroom, and I could hear them in Grandma's bedroom. They've been planning this for weeks, Mom. They said you were a bad mother, and that Daddy could take better care of me. My heart shattered. And what do you think? She pulled back to look at me, her dark eyes fierce. I think they're liars. I think they don't like that you're happy with Marcus, and they don't like that we have our own life now. And I think... She paused, choosing her words carefully. I think they never really liked us very much at all. Out of the mouths of babes. They said other things too, she continued. About how they were going to tell the judge that you hit me and that you leave me alone at night, and that our apartment is dirty. None of that's true, Mom. I know, baby. And they said Daddy's been giving them money for their testimony. Of course he had. Richard, with his new job and his teacher fiancé and his suburban dream house. Richard, who'd left us with nothing but debt and broken promises, was now buying my family's loyalty. Are we going to run away? Luna asked. No. I stood up, pulling her with me. We're going to fight. But first, we needed to get out of this house. I could hear voices from the kitchen getting louder. They'd noticed we'd been gone too long. Is your stuff in your backpack? Luna nodded. The important stuff. Smart girl. I'd raised a smart, brave girl, despite what they wanted to believe. We walked around the side of the house to where my car was parked on the street. I could see the front window, see shadows moving behind the curtains. They were looking for us. I started the engine just as the front door opened. Mom stood on the porch, her face twisted with anger. Marlo, get back here. I put the car in drive. Where are we going? Luna asked. To see Marcus, and then we're going to call our own lawyer. 3 weeks later, I sat in a courtroom, watching Richard's lawyer try to explain why his client had been secretly paying my family members for their testimony. The judge, a stern woman in her 60s, was not amused. Your Honor, Richard's lawyer stammered. My client was simply trying to ensure his daughter's welfare. By bribing witnesses? The judge raised an eyebrow. Mr. Crawford, are you familiar with the term perjury? My lawyer, a sharp-tongued woman named Patricia whom Marcus had recommended, leaned back in her chair with a satisfied smile. We'd spent 2 weeks gathering evidence, bank records showing Richard's payments to my family, recorded phone calls. Luna had been very clever with her phone's voice memo function, and testimony from Luna's teachers about what a good student she was, how well-adjusted, how clearly loved. Furthermore, the judge continued, I've reviewed the home study reports, and I find no evidence of the neglect or instability alleged by the petitioner's witnesses. In fact, Ms. Chun, she looked at me. Your daughter speaks very highly of you and of your boyfriend, is it? Fiancé, I corrected. Marcus had proposed the night after the first hearing, kneeling in our tiny apartment kitchen while Luna cheered from the doorway. Fiancé. She describes a loving, supportive home environment. She expresses a clear preference to remain in your custody, and at 12 years old, her wishes carry significant weight with this court. Richard was staring at the table, his face red. His teacher fiancé had stopped returning his calls after the bribery allegations came to light. Apparently, educators didn't like being associated with people who paid for false testimony about child welfare. It is the finding of this court that custody should remain with the mother, with supervised visitation for the father, pending completion of anger management and parenting classes. The gavel came down and Luna squeezed my hand. We won, she whispered. We won. Outside the courthouse, Marcus was waiting with a bouquet of sunflowers, Luna's favorites. He swept her up in a hug that lifted her feet off the ground, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom, we need to talk. I showed it to Marcus, who frowned. You don't have to respond. I know, but I was curious. After weeks of silence, after their testimony had been exposed as bought and paid for, what could they possibly have to say? I typed back, no, we don't. The response came immediately, please. We made a mistake. I stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it without responding. Luna was right. They'd never really liked us very much at all. And maybe that was okay. Maybe family wasn't about blood, or obligation or guilt-driven loyalty. Maybe family was Marcus making pancakes in the shape of hearts every Sunday morning. Maybe family was Luna, brave enough to hide in a bathroom and record the truth. Maybe family was Patricia, fighting for us like we mattered. Maybe family was what you built, not what you were born into. 6 months later, we moved into a real house, not big, not fancy, but ours. Luna painted her room purple and hung up pictures of wolves, which had become her new obsession after reading some book about pack loyalty. Marcus installed a tire swing in the backyard oak tree, and I planted a garden full of vegetables we'd actually eat. I never heard from my mother again, except for a Christmas card that I threw away unopened. Sterling tried to friend me on Facebook, but I blocked him. Delilah sent a long email about family forgiveness that I marked as spam. Some bridges, once burned, should stay that way. Luna thrived. Her grades improved. She made new friends. She learned to ride the bike Marcus bought her for her 13th birthday. She started calling him Dad without any prompting from either of us. And the first time she did it, he cried in the garage for 20 minutes. The custody case had changed something in all of us. It stripped away the illusions, the politeness, the desperate desire to keep everyone happy. It showed us who we really were when everything was on the line. And what we were was enough. More than enough. Luna was right about pack loyalty, after all.